Good night, Shabbos. This is a gewaldige tshuva from the Sachat Shavah, the Avnei Nezer, that took place in 1878, 135 years ago. And it seems that the setup was like we have this year. There's Yom Kippur, we have Erev Shabbos, and then before Sukkot. In general, we have an Indian in Judaism called Zrizim Akdim Mitzvahs. Zrizim Akdim Mitzvahs means you do it as soon as you can. The most classic case would be Bris Milah. That's the most famous case. That you wake up in the morning, you try to do the Bris Milah as early as possible. Now, no one really practices doing the Bris Milah at Vasikin. It doesn't happen that the actual Bris Milah happens at Vasikin. They wait a couple hours till the crowd comes in and stuff like that. And that's not really being Oivin Aveir. There's a hiddur, there's a concept of Zrizim Akdimim. But if you don't have a Zrizim Akdimim and you wait a couple hours, you're still okay. The mitzvah's done, l'tikuna, l'gamri, 100% good. And that's the way it goes. There's another Inyan, very similar, but it becomes an Isser. It's called Ein Ma'avirin al Mitzvahs. Ein Ma'avirin al Mitzvahs means when you have a mitzvah in front of you, and you pass it by, you now violated an Isser. So these two concepts seem very similar. When do we know it's just a nice thing? Zrizim Akdimim, if you miss it, you're okay. And when does it become Ein Ma'avirin, and now when you missed it, now you made a problem. And that's what the Avnei Nezer, in his drasha he gave in Shabbos Shuvah. The tshuva here is really a couple weeks later, but he's reminding everyone of the drasha he gave. He comes up with a gewaldige yesod. And the yesod he said is this: if you pass a time period where you can no longer perform the mitzvah, you now violated Ein Ma'avirin. As long as you could still perform the mitzvah, it's his reason. So the example, let's say Bris Milah. If you wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock and that's when you could daven, that's when you can do a Bris Milah, and you wait until 9 o'clock, you're fine. Because from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you could do the Bris Milah the entire time. So you waited a little bit, so you messed up on Zrizim Akdimim, well, you're still good. But of course, if you'd wait for tomorrow, and you wouldn't do the Bris Milah that day for whatever reason, and you waited for the next day, then you violated Ein Ma'avirin al Mitzvahs. That was his yesod, and he prolonged the drasha. In that thing, he adds on, for today, in Hilchos Sukkah. He says it's a mitzvah to build a sukkah. Ramah quotes it, and right after Yom Kippur. So he says that on a normal year, I don't know what's normal, on a regular year when there's no break between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, of a Shabbos in between, so if you don't build a matzah Yom Kippur, you're sitting and eating, or you wait till next morning till it gets light, whatever reasons you have, you're fine. You didn't do his Zrizim Akdimim. You didn't make your Bris Milah at 6 a.m. You made it at 10 a.m. 100% fine. But if there's a Shabbos in between, and you can't build your sukkah on Shabbos, so now you have a problem. Because now you went to Ein Ma'avirin al Mitzvahs, because you now passed a time period where you can no longer build. So it's as if he compares it, not exactly, but he sort of compares it, to the Bris Milah on a Wednesday to a Thursday. If you should have done it on Wednesday, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 p.m., you're all still fine, it's Zrizim Akdimim, but if you wait for the next day, Ein Ma'avirin. So he holds that on a year like today, then there's a Ein Ma'avirin al Mitzvahs that you must build your sukkah this morning, because Shabbos you're not going to be able to build your sukkah. Before I mess up everyone's schedule today, I want to be magdim that his great Talmud, the Chalkes Yoyev, vehemently opposes to this. And the Minchas Elazar writes in a tshuva, he heard about this, and he's very fiery lashon against him. The Minchas Elazar from Bunkach, Avnei Nezer from Sachat Shavah in Poland, and he writes to him at the end of the tshuva, a long tshuva, which showing he doesn't agree with this. He says, I'm not sure how chashuv the city of Sachat Shavah is, that on a Shabbos tshuva drasha you have nothing to speak about except for convincing people on a chumrah that you came up with to build your sukkah on a Friday morning instead of Sunday. So I'm not passing here for Litvakish either way. We're not Polish. Sachat Shavah, it was Zichanat, Hungarians from Munkach. But either way, the idea to know about if there's mamish no nafkamina to your schedule at all, then maybe you could say it, have in mind for all of us that you're building the sukkah, I'll be the chumrah of the Sachat Shavah, which will be zeicha for only good news.
Amen.
You should do it Sunday.